Meats, which is our kind of ranch and like the cattle that we ranch. I was like, well, not quite, and you'll learn when you get older. But I think that there's something that's just like much more tangible about that than taking them to the office and sitting in product reviews or something for some like piece of software that we're writing.
Well, it's certainly a lot more primal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you do wind up eating that meat from the animal and you were there while the animal died, like you put it all together, like, oh, this is where meat comes from.
Yeah.
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 Which is another reason why things have become sort of emasculated, because that energy is not necessary anymore to acquire meat. That used to be the only way that people got meat. You had to go hunt it. So you had to go actually pull the trigger, kill the animal yourself, cut it up, butcher it, cook it. You knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
And
Although my favorite is bow and arrow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's, I think, like the most, that feels like the most kind of sporting version of it.
Yeah, if you want to put it that way. Yeah. I mean, if you're just trying to get meat, it's not the most effective. The most effective is certainly a rifle. But I prefer it because it requires more of you.
Yeah, and you just kind of go and hang out. And
and you have to be fit.
Yeah.
Especially if you're mountain hunting, you have to be really fit.
Yeah.
You can't just be kind of in shape. You got to be really fit if you want to huff up the mountains and keep your heart rate at a certain level so that when you get to the top, you can execute a shot calmly.
And then actually carry the thing out.
Yeah, and carry the thing out.
Yeah. No, I mostly use a rifle just because it's so much more efficient. Your conversion rate is so much higher. But it's, another.
What kind of bow do you have?
Gosh, I didn't get to do it this season, but
do you know the company that makes it?
Not off the top of my head. I have a few.
You have to know.
Yeah, no, this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing.
I can get you hooked up.
Yeah, it works.
Okay. Do you know how old it is?
No, it's not old.
Okay.
I think it's like just a compound bow that I got strung to my draw length. And
did you get someone to coach you?
Yeah.
Who coached you?
It's basically a bunch of the guys who help run security around the ranch.
Okay.
Yeah.
The thing about archery is, just like martial arts, one of the things that I learned when I was teaching is that it's way easier to teach someone that knows nothing than to teach someone who learned something incorrectly. The people who learned something incorrectly, the moment things got tense and they panicked, they went back to the old ways because it's sort of ingrained in their system. So archery, one of the things that's very important is proper form and then proper execution, especially having a surprise shot. And learning how to have a surprise shot is...
What do you mean?
Yeah,
surprise shot?
You don't know.
No.
See, this is the thing. In high-pressure situations, one of the most important things is to have a shot process where you don't know exactly when the arrow is going off. You just have a process where you're pulling through the shot and the shot breaks. So it's a surprise shot. So you put the pin on the target. Mm-hmm. I use a thumb trigger.
Yeah.
I
do too.
I use a thing called an Onyx clicker. Okay. And the reason why I use the Onyx clicker is like a hinge. It gives you a two-stage of the trigger, right? So as I'm at full draw, I put slight pressure and I hear a click. And that click means it's ready to go off with more pressure. So I've gone through stage one. Now stage two is just concentrating on the shot process and knowing it's going to break. And then there's no flinching. There's no tweak. There's no the thing that people do when they have a finger trigger.